The OK sign. Let's start with something most English speakers use without thinking, the OK sign. You form it by making a circle with your thumb and index finger while keeping your other fingers extended. In English-speaking countries and among scuba divers, it simply means everything is fine. But travel to Japan and that circle means money. Head to France or Tunisia, and it means zero or worthless. However, things get darker in the Mediterranean, Middle East, parts of Latin America, and some regions of Europe, where this gesture becomes a vulgar insult. In Brazil, it's one of the most offensive hand signals you can make, roughly equivalent to screw you. In some Middle Eastern countries, it's linked to the evil eye and used as a curse or threat. In the Balkans, the gesture is tied to nationalist movements and territorial disputes, particularly in Greece and Bulgaria. But perhaps most notably, in 2019, the Anti-Defamation League added the OK sign to its hate symbol database, claiming that white supremacist groups had co-opted it, interpreting the three raised fingers as a W and the circle as a P, standing for white power. This controversial designation sparked major debates about whether a common gesture could be permanently tainted by extremist appropriation. The Nazi salute. One gesture that needs no such debate is the Nazi salute. Performed by raising the right arm at a 45-degree angle with the palm down and fingers straight, it became the official greeting of the National Socialist Party in 1926 and symbolized loyalty to Hitler and the regime. But here's something many people don't know. Mussolini's Italian fascists were already using a similar salute as far back as 1919, and it later spread to Spain, Brazil, and beyond. Despite popular belief, the salute isn't based on an ancient Roman greeting. Historians have found no evidence of that. Instead, the so-called Roman salute actually came from a 1784 painting called Oath of the Horatii. A similar gesture, the Bellamy salute, was even used in the United States alongside the Pledge of Allegiance until it was replaced. Today, the Nazi salute is illegal in Germany and Austria, with penalties of up to 5 years in prison. It's also banned under anti-extremist laws in Slovakia and the Czech Republic, restricted in Poland, and outlawed in many other countries globally. It remains one of the most offensive gestures in the world. The Kunel gesture. Speaking of controversial gestures, the Kunel, or inverted Nazi salute, is performed by pointing one arm downward with the palm facing down, while the opposite hand touches the shoulder. It was created by French comedian Dieudonné, who framed it as an anti-establishment gesture. However, French courts and critics have labeled it anti-Semitic, especially because it has been used at Holocaust memorials and Jewish schools supposedly under the guise of protest. The gesture gained notoriety in 2013 and has led to fines, firings, and arrests in France. It appeared in Dieudonné's 2009 campaign for an anti-Zionist party and was popularized further when footballer Nicolas Anelka received a 5-match ban for performing it during a match. A French soldier was also expelled from the army after posing with the gesture in front of a synagogue. French authorities have repeatedly sought to ban it outright. The Muda. Moving to ancient Greece, we find the Muda, a traditional insult made by spreading the fingers wide and thrusting the palm towards someone. The closer you bring it to the person's face, the more offensive it becomes. An intensified version uses both hands. In ancient times, it was used as a curse. During Byzantine times, criminals were humiliated by being paraded backward on a donkey with their faces smeared in cinder. Since the cinder was applied by pressing an open palm across the face, the gesture itself eventually took on the meaning of insult and became known as the Muda. Similar gestures exist in Iraqi and Assyrian culture, where thrusting an open palm at someone signals shame and dishonor. The V sign. The V sign is fascinating because its meaning is entirely determined by which way your palm faces. With the palm facing outward, it became famous as a symbol of victory after Winston Churchill used it during World War II. Later, during the 1960s counterculture, it was adopted as a peace sign when the palm faces inward. But with the palm facing inward in the UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, It's a strong insult, similar to giving the middle finger. Folklore traces this version back to English archers at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415 during the Hundred Years' War, who allegedly flashed their bow-drawing fingers at the French to taunt them. A modern example of controversy came in 1990 when the British tabloid The Sun showed a cover with a V sign aimed at European Commission President Jacques Delors, sparking outrage about alleged Francophobia. Beckoning. In the US and much of Europe, curling your index finger with the palm up is a casual way to say, "Come here." But in Japan and South Korea, the same motion can be taken as insulting. In the Philippines, it's especially offensive since the gesture is traditionally reserved for calling animals. Using it toward a person can even lead to arrest. Similar views exist in Singapore and parts of East Asia, where it's considered deeply degrading. The Five Fathers gesture. The Five Fathers gesture is made by grouping the fingertips of one hand together and pointing at them with the index finger of the other. In Arab and Caribbean cultures, this is a strong insult that implies someone has five fathers, essentially accusing the person's mother of promiscuity and calling them a bastard. The chin flick. The chin flick is made by brushing your fingers forward from under the chin in a flicking motion. While it can resemble brushing something away, in northern Italy, France, Belgium, Tunisia, and parts of North Africa, it's a very offensive gesture meaning get lost or go to hell, akin to giving the middle finger. The fig sign. The fig sign is made by sticking the thumb between two fingers. In modern Northwestern Europe and the US, it's often used in children's games as a playful, "I stole your nose" gesture. However, among early Christians, it was called the obscene hand, and in ancient Rome and Greece, it was used in rituals to ward off evil spirits. In Italy, it was once a very rude gesture comparable to the middle finger, though it has largely fallen out of use. In Turkey, it remains an obscene insult, while in Indonesia and Japan, it represents intercourse. In Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine, known locally as shish or dulia, it's also considered very rude and used to say no or reject someone. The raised fist. The raised fist, often called the communist fist, is a symbol of solidarity, resistance, and workers' rights. It's been associated with socialism, communism, anarchism, and trade unionism, and has been used to express unity in political movements worldwide. It became particularly prominent in anti-fascist struggles between the world wars and in Pan-African anti-colonial and anti-apartheid movements. However, its meaning differs sharply across regions. In Western countries, it remains a common emblem for anti-fascist groups and movements like Black Lives Matter. In China, officials use it during oaths as a sign of loyalty to the Communist Party. But in Eastern Europe, especially the Baltics, Poland, and Ukraine, the gesture is viewed with deep hostility because of its association with Soviet and Bolshevik oppression. There, it recalls decades of deportations and violence. While not illegal, its public use can trigger confrontation similar to displaying the Soviet flag. The cutis. The cutis, or biting the thumb, is done by placing the thumb behind the upper front teeth and flicking it forward. In India and Pakistan, it's a harsh insult serious enough to get someone thrown out of any place and not welcomed back. In Elizabethan England, it carried a similar meaning, considered equivalent to the middle finger or even a way of provoking a fight. The browner. The brainer, or forearm jerk, is made by bending your arm in an L shape with the closed fist up, while the other hand grips or slaps your biceps, and the arm is raised vertically. Mainly used in France, Southern Europe, and Brazil, it's an obscene gesture equivalent to the middle finger. Interestingly, in Japan, the same gesture is positive, symbolizing courage or determination. The horns. The horns, or corna, are made by extending the pinky and index fingers while holding the middle and ring fingers down. In rock and heavy metal culture, it's a friendly rock-on gesture. In Italy and the Mediterranean, when pointed downward or away from someone, it's used to ward off bad luck. But pointed upward or directed at a person, it becomes offensive, implying that the person's partner is unfaithful. The same offensive meaning appears in many Latin American countries and parts of Europe. However, the sign is also used by the criminal gang MS-13 to indicate affiliation. In 2005, President George W. Bush's salute to University of Texas Longhorns fans was mistaken as an offensive sign in Europe, sparking viral confusion. The Shaka sign. The Shaka sign is made by extending the thumb and pinky while curling the middle three fingers. It conveys friendliness, gratitude, or a relaxed, hang-loose vibe, and originated in Hawaii, where it became a symbol of surf culture. It's widely recognized in the US and Australia. However, outside those contexts, it can cause confusion. In New Zealand and Canada, it's been mistaken for a gang salute of the mongrel mob. In parts of Eastern Europe, the Mediterranean, and Latin America, it's sometimes confused with the horns gesture or gang signs like MS-13, leading it to be taken as mocking, provocative, or insulting. Crossed fingers. Crossed fingers, made by placing the middle finger over the index finger, is widely used to wish for good luck. Its origins may trace back to early Christians secretly using the sign of the cross to seek protection or help. The phrase "fingers crossed" expresses hope for a positive outcome. However, in Vietnam, the gesture is considered to resemble female genitalia and is highly offensive, equivalent to calling someone a derogatory term. The one-fingered salute. The raised index finger has religious significance in Islam, where it signifies the oneness of God, expressing piety and monotheism. However, extremist groups like ISIS have used the same gesture in propaganda, leading to global misinterpretation as a militant symbol and causing controversy when it's displayed in religious contexts. In 2024, German football star Antonio Rudest faced backlash for an Instagram post making the gesture during Ramadan, highlighting how easily religious imagery can be misunderstood. The Albanian eagle. The Albanian eagle gesture is made by crossing the hands to form a shape resembling a double-headed eagle, symbolizing Albania's flag and national identity. Albanians use it to show pride in their heritage, while Serbs and Montenegrins often see it as a nationalist statement or support for a greater Albania, particularly regarding Kosovo. The gesture gained global attention during the 2018 FIFA World Cup, when Swiss players of Kosovo-Albanian descent, Shadon Shaqiri and Granit Xhaka, performed it against Serbia. They were fined by FIFA for unsporting behavior, highlighting the lingering tensions in the Balkans. The Serbian salute. The Serbian salute is made by extending the thumb, index, and middle fingers. Traditionally, it symbolized the Holy Serbian Orthodox Christianity and was used in oath-taking. Today, it's widely recognized as a marker of Serbian identity and nationalism. While common among Serbs at rallies, sporting events, and protests, the gesture is controversial in the Balkans. It became strongly tied to Serbian nationalism during the Yugoslav wars and is seen by many in Bosnia, Croatia, and Kosovo as a provocation linked to war crimes. Though not illegal, displaying it in those regions can be incendiary. Eurovision winner Maria Sharafovic sparked controversy in 2007 when she used it after receiving points from Bosnia. Serbian athletes have used it after victories, leading to fines due to its provocative nature. At the 2022 World Cup, Croatian fans taunted Canadian goalkeeper Milan Borin, who was born in an ethnic Serb region. He responded with the salute, reigniting debate about its meaning. The Grey Wolf salute. The Grey Wolf salute is made by raising the index and little finger while curling the middle and ring fingers with the thumb, forming the head of a wolf. It symbolizes the legendary wolf Bors from Turkish mythology, representing guidance, unity, and honor. The gesture is tied to Turkish identity, but became politically charged through its adoption by the nationalist Grey Wolves movement and their youth wing, who were active in violent clashes with left-wing groups in the 1970s. The group is also alleged to have connections to the Turkish mafia. At Euro 2024, Turkish player Meri Demiral showed the salute after scoring against Austria, prompting a 2-game ban. Turkish fans later repeated the salute before a match against the Netherlands, leading to police intervention. In 2019, Austria banned the gesture. France has outlawed the group, and in Germany, politicians have called for a ban, calling it fascist. The three-finger salute. The three-finger salute is made by raising the index, middle, and ring fingers close together while pressing the thumb to the little finger, palm facing outward. It first appeared in the Hunger Games movies as a fictional symbol of unity and defiance, but became a powerful pro-democracy symbol in Thailand after the 2014 coup, where authorities banned it and arrested people for using it. In Myanmar, it spread after the 2021 coup, becoming a rallying sign of resistance during the civil war. The salute also appeared in Hong Kong during both the 2014 umbrella movement and the 2019 to 2020 protests against Chinese rule. The pinching finger. The pinching finger gesture is made by bringing the thumb and one finger together in a pinched motion. In Italy, it often means "what do you want?" but can also indicate perfection. In the US, it's used for showing a small amount or precision. However, in South Korea, the gesture became controversial after 2021 when it was linked to the feminist movement Magalia, which apparently used it to mock what they claimed were small physical attributes of Korean men. This association fueled a conspiracy theory framing the gesture as misandrous, leading to public backlash. Several companies and officials issued apologies after being criticized for including it in ads or public materials. Thumbs up. Thumbs up is widely recognized as a sign of approval, success, or positivity in most cultures. Some trace its origins to English archers who supposedly used it as a signal that their bows were ready for battle. However, in Tibet, it was traditionally a way of begging for mercy, while in Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and nearby regions, it long carried the same obscene force as the middle finger. Though the offensive meaning is still remembered in those regions, it has started to fade in recent years. The middle finger. Finally, the middle finger, also known as flipping the bird, is one of the most recognizable obscene gestures used to convey strong contempt or insult. Its origins go back to ancient Greece and Rome, where it symbolized sexual aggression, with the raised finger representing the phallus and the curled fingers representing testicles, meant to degrade or threaten the recipient. Today, it has become a near-universal gesture of hostility, particularly in the Western world. Its use in public settings has led to fines and suspensions for many athletes around the globe. Hand gestures are a window into culture, history, and the complex ways humans communicate beyond words. What seems innocent in one place can be deeply offensive in another, and some gestures have been weaponized by political movements and extremist groups. Understanding these differences isn't just about avoiding embarrassment. It's about appreciating the nuanced ways different cultures express themselves. Thank you for watching. If you learned anything, let me know by liking the video and comment below on what you would like to see in the future. History never runs out of surprises, and neither do we, so subscribe and join me for the next dive into the archives.